Hey guys, welcome back. I am excited today because I'm going to try my first ink project. And I think one of the things that comes up watching tutorials on the ink is really that you want to be very careful when dealing with it because it has a tendency to get everywhere. So I want to make sure I have paper towels or wet wipes or something like that just kind of over to the side in case I need it, because once the ink goes down, it kind of stays where it's put. So I am going to use it on a stainless steel mug. And one thing to when picking vessels for use with the transfers is the more the surface is sort of cylindrical, the easier it's going to be for this to lay down. Like if you had a very tapered sort of mug or something, you might have the issue that because the bottom is narrower than the top, you'd actually have to cut some like slits or whatnot in the bottom so that it would adhere well. But we're not going to have that problem. But that was one of the things that was a concern when I was looking at this. So this is a brand new transfer, and I'm using it on metal, which is pretty smooth. So I'm going to fuzz it a few times just to make sure that, it doesn't stick too much. And basically, the process with this ink is almost identical to paste. It's just that once you're done, and the ink probably has a longer open time than the paste, where they'll stay wet for longer. But basically, once you peel the transfer off, you need to then heat set the ink. You can also dry it in the meantime depending on what you're going to do. With a mug, it's kind of less of an issue because you're probably just going to put one design on and then you're going to stick it in the oven and heat set it. But with other things, it might matter more. But basically, I want to have this mostly on one side. And I tend to be right-handed, so the outside facing side would be the one I'm working on. And yeah, and then we just kind of want to make sure this is level. And you want to feel to make sure you don't have any bubbles, etc. This looks pretty good to me. But, if it didn't, all you do is grab the corner and peel it back up and then go from there. I don't know. Personally, I think sort of some of the charm of doing handmade stuff is just the fact that it isn't 100% perfect, but, if you wanted to be really, really careful, you could definitely use a ruler or something like that. Now, as I look at this is really close to the handle versus being right in the middle, so I think I am going to move it because I want it a little more probably here, I want to say. I probably want the R. Yeah. Now it's a little crooked, but I'm just trying to get a sense of... See, I think that's about the right placement. It's just a little not quite straight. So just do that. And since it's tacky, once you tack down one side, you can kind of use that to make life a little bit easier for everything else. You basically want to make sure that you don't have any bubbles. You just saw that I kind of had some bubbles there. That looks pretty straight, and I feel no bubbles. And I'm happy with... Sorry. I'm happy with how that placement would look if I was holding it. So, basically, I'm going to now ink this. And I've got I'm just using black ink for this. I'm going to use a very small amount because it doesn't really take that much. And the process for this is essentially identical to if I was dealing with paste. The only major difference with it is really that it is harder to clean up, so I'm being somewhat more careful. But I want to make sure I get it inside the stencil, and I want to make sure there's basically good coverage on everything, especially anywhere with words, because it'll look kind of wonky. If I screw it up. And yeah, my cat is visiting too, so if you hear any weird shuffling noises, that is why. For 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Just moving the boy. Anyway, I am trying to scrape up anything I don't need, and I am also kind of looking at the stencil here. That looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to scrape off the excess. Then I'm going to close this so I don't get ink all over everything. And I'm going to go directly to the sink with this guy. So I'm just going to lay it on a paper towel slightly over to the side. And let us lift this up and take a look at how we did. I think I may have missed a little piece here near the top, so I'm just going to make sure that's covered. One thing also is if you're peeling this up and you find a place that looks a little bit strange, you can always just sort of go back. You can relay the transfer as long as at least one point of it is set, and generally you want to pull. Looks pretty good. The R's a little strange, but I think that will be okay. Yeah, it looks like I didn't get full adhesion here. So it's going to be a little imperfect in this sort of middle section. I'm not sure if that was, I'm suspecting it's because it wasn't pushed down all the way, because you see that like the more section and the other sections of this came out pretty well. So that's definitely something I would keep an eye on if I was going to do it again. Yeah, because you can see, you can see on the bottom here how it bled a little bit. Anyway, first attempt, I don't mind. It'll be a good opportunity to just sort of test out the whole process, and then we'll know what we did next time. So, I am going to go wash this guy, and I am also going to put the mug in the oven, in a cold oven, turn it to 350, leave it for half an hour, let it cool down, and that should set the ink. Well, here we are. It's been about an hour. This cooked in the oven for about, I would say about 40 minutes. It took about 10 minutes for the oven to get up to temperature, and then it was in for 30, and then I just let it open the door and let it cool after that. And it was at 350. It came out less jacked up than I thought after I peeled it back. The ink's really settled down quite a bit, and it's very smooth once it's been heat set. So it still looks like, I don't know, someone's attempt at doing a mug. But I actually like the overall effect, and as I said before, like I don't mind if it's a little jacked up, just because it's sort of like, a first attempt, and that way it looks a little bit more handmade. But in any event, I'm really happy with how this came out, and I tried to wash it, and the ink didn't come off, so I'm super happy. I don't know. Should be fun to try again with the stuff that we've learned and see how it comes out next time.